Hi, Robert Sherman live for us in Doha, Qatar. Again, I know you'll continue to keep us updated on any developments there. Want to bring in now Dan Baer, former U.S. ambassador to the Organization for Security and Cooperation in Europe, and now at the Carnegie Endowment for International Peace. Ambassador, here's what the president said about the current situation of things. Take a listen.
They hit actually 3 boats, not 2. And when they hit, we hit back much harder. We have many ways we could win, but we've already won militarily. They have very little left, and they want to make a deal so badly. They called a little while ago. They want to make a deal so badly. I just don't know if they're worthy of making a deal. I don't know that they're going to honor the deal. That's the problem.
Yeah, the president there saying, quote, they have very little over and over. I assume talking about the Iranian military, but Iran's still been able to attack ships. I mean, in the Strait of Hormuz, they've been able to retaliate against, several U.S. allies and in these U.S. strikes. How long can they keep this up?
I hope that we don't find out how long they can keep it up. I think they can keep it up for a while longer. Both sides obviously have their own reasons for wanting an end to the fighting. President Trump wants an end to the fighting because he wants gas prices to come back down. He wants the effects of the war to stop being felt by American allies and here at home. And the Iranians want the fighting to stop because it's happening on their territory and they want the regime to survive. So both have an interest in having the fighting end. But they do have to figure out a way to get back to the negotiating table, and neither one of them wants to fold at this moment.
Yeah, and it's interesting because both sides have said they don't want to continue an all-out war, yet you're hearing both sides, stand their ground. The president even saying at one point in the last couple of hours, he doesn't feel Iran is worthy of a deal. Is this just more strong talk from President Trump, just to pressure Iran back to the table? And if so, do you think it's going to be effective this time around?
I mean, I hope the two parties will return to the table. I think this needs to be resolved. It's going to be very, very difficult. Part of what we're learning here is that the memorandum of understanding was a memorandum, but there wasn't an understanding. It was always going to take a lot of hard negotiating work to solve the outstanding issues. And here, the fighting has erupted again out of the misunderstanding of the memorandum of understanding. The Iranians are claiming that they get to control the Strait of Hormuz and authorize ships to pass through it. They're firing on ships that haven't gone through the procedure that they want for authorization. And the Americans are saying, no, the memorandum includes free passage of the Strait of Hormuz. They haven't even tackled the very tough issues around the enriched uranium that remains in Iran, or the missiles and the proxies. There's going to be a lot of hard work ahead of them if they do get back to the negotiating table.
Let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz, because that's that critical waterway responsible for 20% of global oil supply that hasn't really been getting through. We had moments of some ships getting through over the last couple of weeks, but we've seen the traffic drop with these new strikes. Iran has been getting what it wants in the talks. The Trump administration has allowed the temporary sale of its oil. That's now revoked after these attacks on ships, the latest round of those at least. Does this seem like self-sabotage for Iran, or are they getting something more out of this picture that maybe we're not realizing here?
Well, they've already strategically ended up actually with a strong hand at the end of this war. I mean, President Trump may be right that the United States has, quote unquote, won militarily in the sense that we've inflicted enormous damage on the Iranian military establishment across Iran. But the Iranians have ended up in a strategically strong position because they've shown that they can shut down the Strait of Hormuz. They know that they can inflict pain on the United States by raising gas prices, not only here, but also around the world. And so from the Iranian perspective, they don't want the war to continue, but they haven't had a strategic loss the way that they see the United States as having.
Yeah, the U.S. certainly, and I think just more broadly, the world is struggling with how critical that waterway is and the grip that Iran seems to have on it. When we look at our NATO allies, very clearly at the beginning of this conflict, they didn't agree with President Trump when he asked for help in the beginning of this conflict. But as it goes on, and potentially unclear how long it goes on for, and that Strait of Hormuz remains closed, or at least the threat of it, ships going through being bombed or attacked, do you see them our NATO allies, having no choice but to join to open up the straits, given that they are so much more dependent on that oil than even we are here in the U.S.?
Oil is a globally traded commodity, so that's one of the lessons we're learning, that even though the United States is now the largest producer, it still affects us when you take a significant percentage off the market. But you're right, our European allies are also suffering. I think it's unlikely that they're going to join the fight. They saw very early on that the military action wasn't going to deliver the strategic win. I don't think they believe that it'll deliver a strategic win now. I do expect that they may be doing back-channel diplomacy, trying to work to identify a diplomatic solution that can reopen the strait, because, as you said, they, as well as our allies in Asia, are suffering because of the spike in oil prices, not to mention fertilizer and other goods, that this is causing.
Yeah. You know, we certainly have heard over the last couple of weeks, Middle Eastern countries and really more broadly in the region looking for long-term solutions around the Strait of Hormuz so that a country like Iran doesn't have the grip that it has during this conflict there. Ambassador Dan Baer, really appreciate your time and your perspective. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right, coming up, embattled Maine Democrat Graham Plattner will no longer be the nominee in one of the Senate races that Democrats need to win the most.